This right here is how people view Vladimir Putin, right? People view Vladimir Putin and the Russian government as this highly strategic, highly brilliant, highly organized entity, right? At the command of Vladimir Putin, right? And what Vladimir Putin he's like doing 50D chess at all one time, manipulating people. He's fermenting dissent, and he's juking and dodging all of his opponents, and that's how he's able to stay in power for so long. And he's planning the geopolitical field for forever. He's going to restore Russia's greatness because he's just smarter than Western leaders. Not only is he smarter, but the Russian government is smarter. His government is smarter. And a lot of people, for the first time, I think, are realizing that's not necessarily the case, is it? Putin might be personally a pretty intelligent man. He's studied. He's a book-learned man. But is he as intelligent as he lets on? I mean, we all know he's an autocrat, right? He leads a mafia state. And I want to emphasize that. A mafia state. A state built on intimidation. A state built on corruption. A state built on funneling money and greasing the wheels, right? This is how the system works in Russia. That's how you get power in Russia, both in the military, both in the industrial sector, everywhere, okay? It's by participating in corruption, intimidation, and cutthroat politics. It works like the Sicilian crime family, or better yet, the Russian mafia, right? This is just the reality, right? If you deny it or try to pretend that modern Russia is some socialist utopia, that's nonsense, right? It's a mafia state built on hypocrisy, layers of hypocrisy. One example of this hypocrisy, before we get into this and the point I'm trying to drive home here, is Putin's claim of not only Nazis in Ukraine, which is hypocritical because the Russian government has supported rebels in Ukraine that are also Nazis, right? And far-right militias in Ukraine and the northeast of the country, right? With the, not only that, but they also have the Wagner Group, which is now in Ukraine, invading Ukraine, which has fighters which are neo-Nazis. And a person who founded it is a neo-Nazi with neo-Nazi tattoos, right? They're having Nazis denazify the country. But another hypocrisy was another thing that isn't talked about as much in the Western media, was this accusation that the Ukrainian government is full of drug addicts. They're Nazi drug addicts. Now, of course, there's a hypocrisy there because the Nazis, while they tried to talk about the purity of their people, blah, 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 like did drugs and stuff. This is true. They gave drugs to the soldiers so they could fight for the battle for France. But it's also largely not true. There's not like a lot of scandals in the Ukrainian command of drug scandals of them doing coke or heroin or anything like that. There's been some images edited online of Zelensky having cocaine on his table, but it just ended up completely not being true. But this is coming from the same country which has a massive drug problem. A massive drug problem. It's the country which Crocodile itself was born, that's been fighting a war on drugs, some would even say has been more brutal than the American war on drugs, and failing in that war for years. And that hypocrisy has been highlighted a million times, and maybe I will highlight that hypocrisy at length in another video, but today I want to highlight something different. That a mafia state is incompetent. That when you talk about systems, checks, and balances, that can, make it so a system is maybe not as quick to respond. There's advantages that dictatorial governments have. Absolutely. If you ask any person talking about like systems of governments, the benefits and the negatives, there is benefits. But incompetence is rewarded in a mafia state to a much larger degree. Because in a mafia state, it doesn't necessarily have to, you getting a job doesn't have to do necessarily with how good you are at the job. It's about how many wheels you can grease, how many palms you can put some rubles into. Who you know is how you get a position. Does that exist in all systems? Yes, but to a larger extent in a mafia state. Because you are in it for the prestige of the power. Again, this exists in all governmental systems, but is heightened to its highest extents in mafia states. And what that leads to is incompetence, corruption that funnels money from government programs into people's pockets, makes the government programs less effective. A lot of people suspect that's one of the issues that the Russian military is facing in Ukraine when you're seeing tires exploding. But it also means that the people who are doing the jobs are not very good at it. And so I wanted to show you guys 3 examples of Russian incompetence in governance in the recent days. And this is all in the past just 2 or 3 days. I could give you a million examples from the invasion. I could give you a million examples from the last 20, 22 years of it. So during Yeltsin's administration, past Yeltsin's administration, ever since the fall of the Soviet Union. But I wanted to just give you guys 3 examples. The first example I wanted to give you is this one. So the Russian Orthodox Church and its head is very influential. And the head of the Russian Orthodox Church is a very, very wealthy man. Very wealthy, but we all know that flaunting said wealth when you're a man of God, right? Maybe even a representative of God, can be unseemly, right? It can make you not look great. Definitely if your country has a massive poverty issue, a huge drug issue, and, you know, thousands upon thousands, tens of thousands of your young men are dying in a war, freezing to death in forests and getting radiation poisoning, flaunting your wealth during an economic crisis, military crisis, and drug crisis as the head of the Russian Orthodox Church is a bad look. But if you're this man, that doesn't mean you don't still want to enjoy the finer things. Again, it's a mafia state. That's what it's all about. And so this man loves his watches. And in fact, if you look at this photo, let's zoom into it. It's kind of hard to see from this distance, but if we get closer, maybe you will. On this picture on the right, you can see that the watch was edited out. They edited out the watch. They photoshopped it out. Why? Because again, he's a representative of God. He's a man of God. And he's one of Putin's men. And so that means they're, connected to the people. They're men of the people. And so that they don't participate in such activities, definitely if they're such a strong religious figure. And so that $30,000 wristwatch was edited out. Good for propaganda. If you're starving because of the recent economic situation that has befallen Russia, you wouldn't want to have to look to the leaders and see wealth being flaunted. One problem. They didn't get rid of the reflection. If you look very carefully, or not even that carefully in this image, you can see the watch is still there. It's being reflected on the table. It's right under my camera. You see it? The reflection? Nothing there. There's a reflection. Nothing there. There's a reflection. This is just terrible, terrible Photoshop. I mean, come on. Did they send this in an email to others to double check it? Was this just a quick job and they thought they handled it and then they just sent it out there? I mean, it's very, very, very obviously photoshopped. I don't even understand the purpose of the Photoshop if you're going to do it so poor. I guess they really, I understand the purpose. It's to make it look like he's more of a man of God. He's not flaunting his wealth. Why not just take off the watch, by the way? Why not just take it off? Just put it in your pocket, okay? I'm not against jewelry and stuff, but if you want to appear like you don't wear jewelry, take it off. Look how easy that was. I just took it off, and there you go. Now you guys don't see my Casio anymore. It's gone. It's off screen. I could have just put it in my pocket. You have no clue where it is. It could be gone forever. I could have thrown it out the window. You don't know. But instead, he kept it on and then had to have people edit it out poorly, which can be obviously seen here. One example of Russian incompetence when it comes to propaganda. But that's the first example of propaganda. Actually, all of our examples are of propaganda today. Let's move on to the next one. Actually, no, this is the best one. Let's do the best one for last. I think this is a really good one. So this is Russian state TV saying it discovered an organization of gays and lesbians in a building in Mariupol where Ukrainian nationalist battalions had been based. It was apparently funded by U.S. aid and virtually under the patronage of the U.S. president and Congress. Okay, they're speaking Russian, so it doesn't really matter if I show you the footage here. But number one, look at the pentagram, the gay queer pentagram. Very brilliant, very amazing. Amazing craftsmanship that they would, again, these are far right battalions, you know. Nationalists have never been the friend of, I would say, the gays, the queers. Yet somehow, Mariupol is a den of Nazis, but is also a den of homosexuals, gay people, you know, trans people, and queers. I don't know how it is both a den of neo-Nazis, and you know, the Nazis were notoriously anti-gay. They put gay people in concentration camps. So on one hand, it's a Nazi haven, and on the other hand, it's a haven of homosexuals. Very crazy. That's very interesting. But they also allege that it is funded by U.S. aid and virtually under the patronage of the U.S. president and Congress. This makes it sound like America controls gays in Mariupol, as if the Biden was calling up homos, the queers, the gays in Mariupol and giving them direct orders. And then after they would stop talking with the gays, they would pick up the phone and talk to the Nazis in the same city. Must be a weird interaction when those two meet and they're like, "Oh, you're the gays. Oh, you're the Nazis. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. We're getting funded by the same people. We're in the same city. I guess we better all get along. Let's all get in the bunker together." Again, the narrative here is somehow that the Nazis and the gays are on the same side, they're fighting in the same city, and they're both being funded by the same people. They're in lockstep, even though the gays are a threat to the foundations of neo-Nazi ideology. Again, propaganda fail. But my favorite is this one. The Russian FSB claimed that it foiled an assassination attempt by Ukraine on a state TV, Vladimir Zolanov. I think they mean state TV commentator. Here's the list of what they apparently seized. An IED, 8 Molotov cocktail. I don't know why a Molotov cocktail would be used in assassination, but okay. 6 pistols, a sawed-off shotgun, a grenade, 1,000 rounds of ammo, drugs, forged Ukrainian passports, and nationalist literature and paraphernalia. Now, come over here. Let's look at this. Let's all see if we can find the thing that sticks out. The first thing is they taped a picture of Adolf Hitler to the computer. Look, I'm not a Nazi, so I don't know how Nazis, decorate their room, but I find it a little difficult to believe that Nazis just tape pictures of Hitler to their computer. So every few times after typing, they can go Sieg Heil to Hitler in the corner of the computer. I find that a little hard. I feel like maybe a framed picture would have made more sense, not just something quickly taped, not even to the computer. It looks like, what is that, a microphone? Is that a speaker? Why would you tape it to the speaker? Why would you tape a picture of Hitler to the speaker? Wouldn't that just stop more sound from coming? Wouldn't that be bad for the audio? Very interesting. Okay, and they've got the Nazi skull, and you keep going, and you've got Nazi shirt. You've got more nationalist stuff. You've got a bunch of paraphernalia. Yeah. Now I would say they've got a wig in the background. That's very interesting. Um, but there's something here that sticks out to me. Can anybody tell me what's sticking out to you in chat? Can we figure this out together, chat? What sticks out here? Now, I would say that if I was a Nazi assassin, you know, being an assassin, it wouldn't make a lot of sense if I just had a swastika in the middle of my shirt. Like, the whole thing about being an assassin is you want to be sneaky. Same thing with nationalist paraphernalia. Again, I don't understand why you would tape a picture of Hitler to your computer. Oh, yes! Why the fuck is there the Sims 3? 3 copies, by the way. 3 copies of The Sims. In the middle of the why? Why would they have copies of The Sims 3? And it's like a really like old version too. Not like a new one. It's expansion packs. I'm very sorry to the Sims community. It's a copy of The Sims and then expansions packs for The Sims. Okay? It doesn't make sense. Why would this be here? Then it clicks. Sims 3. 3 SIM cards. It would make sense for assassins to have SIM cards to put information on. Russian officers were told to put 3 SIM cards with this Nazi expansion pack assassin kit, and they misunderstood what they were asking for. And so they put down 3 copies of The Sims 3 instead. Well, a copy of The Sims and the expansion packs. The best part is not only is it The Sims, but it's the copy and then the expansion pack. Meaning they bought one, then went to a different place to get 2 separate expansion packs. This is so brilliant. I couldn't write this. I could not write something this fucking Neanderthal natured, knuckle dragger type behavior, mouth breather, window licker hours. Okay? I can't understand how absolutely incompetent you would have to be to so haphazardly put this together, to be taping pictures of Hitler to computers, saying that they just had swastika t-shirt. Who the fuck walks around wearing that shit, right? Definitely if you're an assassin, why would you have that on you? And then they're just smuggling to do assassinations with Molotov cocktails. Again, who are you gonna... Why Molotov cocktails? And they just have the Sims games and the expansion packs, as all Nazi assassins must have. But this isn't where it ends either. It gets better, because apparently Zelensky ordered it. Zelensky ordered the Sims Hitler-inspired assassination. Listen to this. Zelensky's been talking about it for years. I've haunted him for a long time. It's, you know, quite an amusing story. Once Zelensky tried to get a job on our channel as a presenter, but he wasn't talented enough for a CO1. He wasn't talented enough to become a presenter on our channel. He was only talented enough to become the president of the Banderite Nation. That's pretty racist. But obviously, he's still got a complex. He's got a complex. Now, so the story is that Zelensky ordered the most neo-Nazi group of neo-Nazis, who also apparently really love The Sims and are just, they're assassins, so of course they take all their Nazi paraphernalia with them, including their Nazi t-shirts and their Sims games, to go kill people. Oh, and their crack. I forgot the crack. And of course all their forged passports. There's also one other thing that isn't here, but I'm trying to find it. So there was also something that was there's a thing written down, right? A signature written down for for this as well. And I couldn't find the picture of it. If somebody has it, I would appreciate if you linked it. And the signature on it from, the Nazis, the signature says, make signature readable, eligible, signature eligible, or illegible. Like, I think not eligible, illegible. So you can't like understand what the signature is. So the signature says illegible, like not you can't read it. So this would be like if I was typing in a resume and I left something like put job here, and then for the signature it says unreadable, as in it's not unreadable, the signature is literally written unreadable, as in the officers who did this were told to make it unreadable, and instead of saying, oh, make it unreadable, they wrote down literally unreadable. Here it is, right here. Can we have a translation on this? 1 second. Translate to English. Signature is eligible. The FSB publishes footage of detention of neo-Nazis who allegedly prepared the murder of Solonov. And they've got like the whole thing, right? They've got the whole raid. They've got everything. Here's the pistols. Here's the everything, guys. Oh my God. They did the whole shebang here. Look at this. They've got all the officers here. They've got everything. Look at the extent of this operation here. They've got people, all of whose faces are not visible, by the way. I love that they're all blurred out or not visible, so we don't know who they are, right? They could be anybody. We have no clue what's going on here, right? They've got some identifiable tattoos, but this whole circus, and they can't understand that they were supposed to be SIM cards, so they put copies of the SIMs and expansion packs. They wrote unreadable and for the signature when they were supposed to make the signature unreadable, and they just taped a picture of Hitler to the computer. Man, that's a lot of drug paraphernalia. Oh my God, they really wanted to lay on that they're drugs. I like this necklace. On one side it's swastika again, and on the other side it's Ukraine. Very direct there. Again, it's crazy that the assassination squad. Oh, but here it is right there. And just another swastika. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I like that these assassins decided to bring all of their neo-Nazi stuff, literally all of it, every single bit of it. And of course, the Nazis are using Discord. This is the most believable part of it, that the Nazis are using Discord. I gotta say, this is the one thing that makes me think, okay, maybe. If they're using Discord, okay, maybe. What is this? Either way, this is all rubbish, right? This is all dude, I'm sorry, but it's all rubbish. Anyway, that's enough of that. Very, very smart, very totally real assassination attempt. By the way, let's say that this was real. Again, why would they all have their Nazi equipment all with them? Okay. ACAB Nazi Joker police, yeah? And on top of that, Zelensky hand chose the most incompetent group of fucking morons those guys don't look like professionals. They just look like gang leaders. Whatever. Anyway. Very, very silly.